Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here again to update you on TNG and our flagship project, the vanadium, titanium and iron project, Mount Peak. Please note our disclaimer, as there will be some forward-looking statements during this presentation. A brief corporate overview. What I'd like you to focus on here is the cash position. We're well cashed up for the work that's being undertaken at the moment. Cash burn is just over $1 million a quarter, so we have enough to see us through for the project work that we're undertaking at this time. As an overview, I think you heard yesterday that we had a successful demerger of our non-core base metal projects into Todd River Resources, which we successfully listed in April this year, and you heard about the activities on those projects there. TNG remains a major shareholder in this company, and we have high hope for those projects. What it's done, though, is given TNG a simplified corporate structure, allowing us to focus entirely on our core project, the Mount Peak project, and our Taiwan technology. The focus so far this year has been on further de-risking the project. We've had finalisation of some engineering designs, particularly at the mine site, that would be available for tender at the end of this quarter. The Taiwan process flow sheet has been locked down. Mine area has been cleared by the traditional owners for development and construction, and the life of mine water aquifer has been secured. Our financing discussions are well advanced. Permitting is anticipated. I think, as everyone is aware, we had a hiccup with the EIS recently, but we are addressing that with some vigour. And the government of the Northern Territory has provided us with some land, at this stage free of charge, for our processing facility, Taiwan, in Darwin. TNG, as I mentioned, is now a very simplified company from what it was only 3 or 4 months ago. There is one other project that we do have in there still. That's the Cause Extended Nickel Cobalt project. That remains with the company for strategic reasons at this stage. We have a 20% free carried interest in that. Some recent news that some of you may or may not have seen, but a very significant move by Robert Friedland into the vanadium redox batteries field, with a major investment by one of his high-tech companies into a Chinese vanadium redox battery manufacturer. I think this speaks volumes about what we've been saying for a few years about the importance of the vanadium redox batteries, and the day has come, I think, where we can see an inflection on the uptake of these batteries into remote areas, taking people off the grid. In addition, I've got a graph there showing that the uptick in the vanadium price has been very strong recently, and the forecasts are for a tightening of supply, and demand is increasing. From a titanium perspective as well, another one of our core products, the pricing for titanium has been increasing significantly since the start of the year as well. Kronos, one of the leading companies for titanium pigment supply and marketing, has surged on the higher titanium prices. And there's a forecast there for the global titanium dioxide prices to increase significantly up to 2023. And if we look at the overall market segment of that, it's huge. Now, these are very important for the Mount Peak project. These are two of the core products for us. And I think everything is about timing for major projects, and this is a very large project now. And I think we're in the right up part of the cycle for us to be at the development stage where we are. Vanadium electrolyte, we've managed to produce that. This is a new business side for the TNG. It's not intimately linked to Mount Peak and the development there. It's not part of our profit forecasts or anything else that in the financial model. But there's no doubt that the vanadium electrolyte going into the vanadium redox batteries, as we know that this is an uptake now, is very significant. To just give you an example, if we had 50 20 megawatt size batteries, that would use up almost the entire annual production from Mount Peak. So if you look at 50 batteries of 20 megawatt size, 20 megawatts could probably run a small community in the Northern Territory, small Aboriginal community. There's hundreds of those around. This is why we've embarked on a agreement seeking a good offtake agreement with Sumitomo in Japan. Sumitomo, one of the leading companies that is building some very large vanadium redox batteries. So very excited about the developments there and the support as well, as you see now from Robert Friedland. We're excited about titanomagnetite ores following the discovery of Mount Peak because there is significantly an ilmenite shortage around the world. Ilmenite is the current main feedstock for the titanium suppliers. So where is it going to come from in the future? And we're talking decades into the future. We believe it's going to be the titanomagnetite deposits. SMS, our major German engineering group, believe that too. And that's why they are very, very intimately involved with us in the development of our Taiwan technology, because we all believe that this technology is going to be the process of choice for the processing of these types of rock types in the future. The other thing is that what we're doing there with a titanomagnetite ore is taking a single rock type and turning it into a polymetallic type deposit. This has other benefits, and we're seeing now the potential for recovering other elements as well from these types of deposits, including elements like scandium, which are very, very high value from the Taiwan process. But to give you some reminder of what the flagship project of TNG is, Mount Peak is a vanadium titanium iron. It's in the Northern Territory. It has a 17-year mine life. Feasibility was completed in late 2015. Since that time, we've been doing a lot of optimization work to keep the operating costs low. We will be the lowest cost operator for all of the products that we produce. We have a number of very good agreements in place that stand us in good stead in the discussions that we're now having with the leading titanium offtake and marketing companies, and also for finance discussions. Gives you an idea of where we are. As some of our previous speakers have said, it's very important to have a project close to infrastructure, particularly one of this nature, which is not a mainstream commodity, strategic metals, but this is a shallow deposit very close to gas, road and rail. The key metrics from the feasibility have not changed, particularly with the rise in prices for titanium and vanadium. We have a very, very strong NPV, over 4.9 billion. What that gives to the company is a lot of options for how we can to manage the project in the future. I won't go through all the developments that have happened over the last year or so, but they're significant in taking the company forward closer and closer to development. We are in a process where we are under very much the control of engineering groups and also the government authorities for permitting, and this is just a process. We have to just move through it and take any delays that do occur in our stride. We are at the pointy end of the tunnel, as I like to say, and we can see that we will reach some of our targets of development, certainly by the second half of this year. Key offtakes in place. These remain in place. They were signed and executed some time ago. These companies are very, very keen for us to get into production. Woojin in Korea is one of the largest ferrovanadium producers. They produce high purity ferrovanadium, which goes directly into car manufacturers, mainly with Hyundai steel. They cannot get enough high purity, that's plus 98% V2O5 at the moment on the global market, they tell us. Gunvor in Singapore look after all of the bulk products for the Gunvor Trading Group. They're very keen for us to provide them with our 99.9% pure iron oxide. Titanium is the most important of our offtakes. Titanium is the most valuable product in the whole resource. It accounts for over 60% of the revenue of our project. As such, we've been taking a very cautious approach of how we actually go about and who we're going to do the marketing and offtake with. I can tell you that we've had discussions with some major European and North American groups, and will remain nameless for the time being, and we're very encouraged by the response and the potential for them to have an operation in the Asia-Pacific region. We've appointed SMS and the Downer groups as our development groups. SMS have been integral in the development of our Taiwan process. We're now in the pre-engineering phase with them. This means that the final design engineering drawings for the project are in place, and this will be purposes to lead those through for a tender for the construction phase. It is a possibility that SMS will actually do the construction, that we can appoint them as our EPC, but at this stage they do not have a construction base or arm in Australia. Downer, however, can do the construction. They're mainly a mine operator and utilities operator. We're very pleased to have them associated with the project. They're very keen to be the operator of the project. We're very keen for them to be the operator of the project as well. About our products, all I want you to focus on here is the cost of production. The red line is the cost of production. We will be the lowest cost producer, and we've been saying that for a while now, for all of these products. We can prove this now through the work that SMS has done. And particularly with the titanium, this is what's very, very appealing to the global producers. For us to supply them with a very, very low-cost feedstock, and then to put it through a chlorination plant to produce a high-quality pigment, provides them with a very, very good margin, and also us with the potential for a very, very good partner on that side of our business. Again, the vanadium pentoxide costs around about $2.50 US a pound. That's the lowest cost globally at this stage. And similarly with the iron oxide. This is because we're taking 3 products out of one solution that we can keep the operating costs so low. Did I miss a slide there? No. We've been a key player in the Northern Territory, as you probably gathered, with the spin-off of Todd River for many, many years, and we're very well known to the government and the traditional owner groups. I can honestly say that this is extremely important when you get to the stage that we're at now, when we're going into the development and the discussions, particularly with the traditional owners, on royalties leading to the mining agreements, which we're hoping will be executed within the next month or so. Once the mining agreement is in place, the mining license that we have as an application with the government can be authorised and granted, and then we have full access onto the ground. This is the area that the Northern Territory Government has allocated and reserved exclusively for TNG. It's currently under a project facilitation agreement, whereby we now agree terms of how this is going to be transferred as an asset to TNG. And the process that that's going to happen is that we will agree to develop this project and build the processing facility there. It's going to provide significant employment for the Darwin residents and local residents for many, many years to come. Going to be a significant revenue stream for them and for local suppliers. In exchange for that, we'll get the land free. That's the deal that we're striking with the Northern Territory Government. It's not the first time it's been done. INPEX, that had a $36 billion investment very, very close to this site, had a very, very similar arrangement. And that's the one that we, as a board, have been pushing with the Northern Territory Government. So the year ahead. I think any one of these that come through, I think, is going to be a significant milestone where we're going to see an inflection and hopefully recovery in the share price. I think everyone's been waiting for these agreements to be executed. We're very close to finalising the type of pigment that we're going to produce. I'm not sure if many of you are aware that there are many, many different types of pigments and many different sectors that they can be applied to, for coatings, for treatment for glass, for a range of things. From discussions that we've had with the leading players there, we're very close to identifying which would be the best type of pigment that they would like us to see produced, and the type of production facility that we're going to use. There are two different types. There's a sulfide route and there's also a chloride route. We're very sure we're going to be going down the chloride route, but that's involved some testing by our engineering groups, none of which is material, none of which we've been able to have anything that's announceable, but all of this work has been happening in the background, and we're very close to finalising that now. The titanium pigment and marketing is not an area that we want to go in and compete with the leading players in the world either. We want them to be a partner in this business side of it, and we have been vigorously exploring that this year, and I'm very encouraged by the response that we have. I'm hoping that we'll be able to release some news on that in the near future. Following, we also want to appoint our EPC contractor. Our first choice is SMS, and that's the discussions that we're having with them and the SMS group and their board at this time. The EIS approval. The EIS was originally submitted in the middle of last year. We then had the NT-EPA come back with some more questions on this. These were answered in a supplement that was supplied to the government at the start of this year. Following review, they then came back with a few more, but lesser questions, so we seem to be going in the right direction. Our environmental consultant is addressing this, and we expect that to have that completed within the next month or so. It will involve a bit more field work, unfortunately. Some biological study that they have considered was missed previously. Our GHD, our consultants, are quite sure to us that they didn't think it was necessary, so this is the type of thing that is a delay, very frustratingly for us at the moment. However, there is no issues with the EIS. There is no issues. There's no major impediments to a development in this area. Following all of these, the mining license can be approved, and then we can get access onto the ground, open up the ore body, and then I think we'll see some real action happening on the site. We've identified some key personnel for our project management team. We've specifically held off from appointing the project management team until we've got all these other items in place, particularly the EIS, and finalised the beneficiation and the flow sheets for the full business model. Project finance, a number of discussions have been had. We've appointed Gresham last year. Gresham are well versed in raising funds of the required capex that we have. We have a number of flexible alternatives here. Also, our board has met with the German export credit agencies this year, along with SMS. We understand the whole process. It's integral. It's a business model that they have where SMS, for the German plant that they produce, can get funding through the German Export Credit Bank. And we've later also learned that we can actually get funding for anything that actually is attributable to Europe. So even if we're selling anything into Europe, such as titanium pigment, this also comes into the mix for the German Export Credit Bank. So we're very encouraged. We've had some very, very strong expressions from the parties involved. Again, I have to remain nameless for the time being, but we're very, very happy with that, where that's progressing, and we expect to be able to announce some news flow on that in the near future. Commencement of the development of the mine site is something that we're champing at the bit to get going on. Downer have said once we have the agreements in place, they have the ability to move rather swiftly to start putting in a haul road and getting the mine site completed. So I'm hoping that all the stars will align and these things will all come to fruition in the next few months. But we are at this process. This is what needs to be taken, and we are doing everything we can to push this forward. So the investment highlights for TNG now, that we are a single project company with a technology company as well. Developing a major vanadium titanium resource. I think it's one of the best ones in the country. It's certainly the most advanced globally for the next production for vanadium. We've got some good agreements in place. We have a refinery that has now been de-risked to a level that SMS are very happy to call it bulletproof, and that's going to produce some products that we know are going to be in very high demand. And in fact, as the timing has gone, we're seeing the products increase in price just at the right time for our development. I'm told the time is up, so thank you very much for your attention.